Welcome to the Contact Center Show. I am your host, Tomas, and I've got my partner in crime, Bob. Bob, how are you, man?
Always partner in crime.
We are doing this show from beautiful Orlando, Florida at the ICMI Expo. Bob, you're looking mighty formal with the coats and the shirts and pants. We've had a great time the last couple of days.
Man, it's been so good.
Who has been your favorite guest? Let me get you in some trouble today. We've had, half a dozen people here. Who's your favorite?
So, I'll give you two answers. I'm not going to give you those answers. You're going to put me in front of the six people invited, and you want me to pick it's like picking a favorite kid in your.
You have. Everyone has a favorite kid.
Yeah, you only have one, so that's the reason why you say that.
I don't have a favorite. On a serious note, what conversations have been stuck out to you now that we are on the final show?
The conversations that we've had around AI with the multiple guests that we've had enlightened me to where we're going. I think that this or the biggest validation is that AI is not something that you can plug in as we may have thought. Right? We thought that we could take ChatGPT and just plug it in and automatically bought all the data and everything. And we validated this week from multiple speakers and guests that the data matters. And so if you're going to bring in CRM data, if you're going to bring in voice data, if you're going to bring in knowledge data, you've got to get your data in the right place to make that AI work correctly. So there's some work that those who haven't stepped into AI can do. I think there's work for those who have stepped into AI.
Agreed.
They can go back and do. I love the quote that said, if you want to know how bad your knowledge is, turn it on to a chatbot. You'll find all of the crevices and the nooks and crannies that you didn't know existed and give you an answer that you don't want.
I love that because, it's true. Knowledge is the oil that makes all of this goes. I think for me, what has struck out the most is we do this show every week and we tend to focus on problems. I am struck by how optimistic people are in this film. And I want us to try to continue that optimism today. I think whether it was Brad who talked about this future, where there will be new work.
And it was interesting, like, if you think about that through the lens of positive, when Brad talked about this new wave of work that's coming our way, I can think of that and go, what is that? Or I can think of that and think, wow, so we are going to be relevant. We are going to stay relevant in the context.
Yeah.
So I'm not going away. The rumor of my demise as a contact center is much like you said when they told us the IVR was going to replace it.
Exactly. And even when you think about, I was talking to Leslie, who's the writing extraordinaire, and she said the ability of generative AI to level up our frontline agents and their ability to write and do great things for their career. So I am feeling really, really, really positive. So on that positive note, we're going to have Nate Brown on here in the next 15 minutes or so. Before it gets there, I'd love for you to share, tackle lots of problems. What are some things that make you positive about it?
Well, I talked about AI. I think that it is, I'm looking at it through the lens of positive right now. Whereas I looked at it through the lens of, what is it going to do? How are we going to do it? I'm looking at it as the keynote speaker said this morning, instead of taking the stress and internalizing, taking the stress and making it into something that's positive. And what else I came away with is how many new vendors there are that I haven't heard about. People who have solved problems that we have in the contact center, whether it's AI related or whether it's not. but they're solving problems that we always have. And now there is a technology that can help us, along with our agents, solve issues for the customer.
So speaking about agents and contact centers, let's tell some positive stories emanating from contact centers.
So I came across one recently, HelloFresh, the company that they send your food to your house.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, it's not great.
So they won't be using this as an ad. Is that what you're telling me after that comment?
That's right. We just lost
their sponsorship. Let's talk about what is positive that I read. We do a lot of bashing to chatbots. We do a lot of things that say that chatbots are not they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Right. Let me tell you some statistics that I heard. They have a chatbot called Fred, and in their social media world, they've implemented this. So they didn't try to make it do everything. They didn't try to make it answer all the questions. They decided to use chatbots specifically for sort of a transactional interaction that they're having on social. So what would happen is they would put up a quiz, or they would put out an ad and ask a question. And what you got was answered the question or you answered the quiz, then they would send you a recipe that went along with whatever that quiz was for the day. So they originally had agents that were in live time on social media reading that information or watching the content on the screen and then making a decision to send out the recipe. So they were able to take the bot. The bot does everything, is 100%. And the statistics say within their chat world for social media, their overall response time went up by 76%. Now, before you get really excited about that, let's think about that. So probably 80% of their interactions had something to do in this environment. So because now I don't have to have an agent to wait, it's just automated.
But now they can answer. Yeah,
they can answer it. They'll send the recipe.
That's awesome.
So, though, what also happened was they increased their now, conversation with you on chat, and you're interacting with me more, which is what I want in a social world. I have a nonprofit. What I want is when I post something in social, I want not only a question, I want you to go to our website. I want you to interact with us. I want you to download something. So imagine a 40% in interactions on social. I took away the original chat. So positive way to look at chat.
I like that. And just for those listening online, we're gonna have Nate Brown on in about 10 or so minutes. And we're going to actually take live questions as well. But I also want to react in terms of this positive stories. I've got a positive contact center story. Called my insurance company, and I'm dealing with a claim and what have you. And in the middle of the conversation, she says she's got to call another department and she's going to call me back. And I said, no, I'll just rather wait. You're not going to believe this. There's no bots in my story. There's no AI in my story. But this lady called me back. Same lady picked up the phone and called me. And I appreciate it so much because I understand what's happening on that end. That's probably impacting her stats. That's probably impacting, all kinds of things in her life. But she took the time and she called me back and she got my issue resolved. And so I think, it can be as fancy as chatbots, or it can be as simple as just, doing what you're saying. So that's meaningful to me. Once a year, I check to see if I can save even $1 on my insurance premiums. I don't think I'm going to do the check this next year. I'm going to skip this next year because of
so loyal customer because of a simple. Yeah, I got another one. So my grandson is a Lego freak. It's been really positive for us as grandparents because I always know what to buy. But I don't know if you've looked at what kids are doing with Legos nowadays, but instead of getting just a big bucket of Legos and you have to use your own imagination to come up with what you want to build, we're buying cityscapes. So we're buying a police station that there's a picture of, and there's instructions that tell you, and there's a right amount of bricks, and we're buying a police station.
So you can't lose.
You can't lose. We're buying a gas
Everybody
station.
gets.
We're buying an airport.
No one fails.
Yeah, but and you're paying $50 to $75 for each one of the little devices, the little items. So I a story recently about a child who had bought his parents had bought him, had given him money for Christmas. He used all of his money to buy a particular set that he wanted. So he and his dad get ready to go on a trip, and his dad says, probably don't want to take all your little men with you because you're going to lose money. So little Adam goes, no, I want to take them. So they go on their trip. Sure enough, he loses one of his men. So his dad, he goes to his dad. He's upset. His dad goes, I told you, you're going to lose him. So he says, can I contact Lego and ask them to send me another one? I said, sure. So his dad helped him write the letter. So he writes the letter to Lego. Dear Lego, they find the address online. Dear Lego, this is what happened. My dad told me not to take them, and I took them anyway. Is there anything you can do to get me a new one? So customer service, when they picked it up, went, hey, this is one of those times we can, wow, we'll make this go viral. We're going to make all this happen. And sure enough, he puts it back together. And I have to read the answer that he gave it. So he says, your father seems like a very wise man. You must always protect your minifigures like the dragons protect the weapons. I can't say that word, spit you, or whatever the name of the organization was that he had bought his Legos with. So I hope you enjoy your minifigure with all its weapons. You actually have the only J minifigure that combines 3 different J's into one. I'm also going to send you a bad guy for him to fight. So instead of just reading the mail, reading the interaction, and taking care of it in a normal way, they wowed us. And I think that happens in our contact centers way too often, and we miss it. So I think what happens in our contact, we heard Brad talk a lot about talking with your executives about the statistics in your contact center, making sure that they understand. I was in his session earlier today. He was talking about occupancy, and everybody standing in front of us probably knows what occupancy means. I'm hoping everybody who's listening to us, but it could be rather boring. But the question is, does your CEO know what occupancy is? If you're sending him a report that has it on, and why are my agents only busy 86% of the time?
So only 86% of the time?
So only 86%
I
of
want
the
to
time.
work in your contact center.
Okay. But the point is, I think that we can all learn from this story about Adam, and that there are opportunities to wow, but there's also opportunities for us to take those stories out of our call center and share them with the CEO and the executive.
I love that. I'll share one more before we bring on Nate. I visited a contact center out in the West Coast. They're the largest vision care provider. And one of the things they do is they speak with the customer that has some kind of a life event. You know, agents kind of remember that, their representative remember that. And then they carve out time during team meetings and ask everyone to pick one customer and write them a letter, right? They protect privacy and all of that. And so you can imagine the rep saying, well, you know, customer Joe said they were having eye surgery. No, right, Joe, I hope the eye surgery goes well and blah, blah, blah. And could you imagine, and these are just like, get in a letter like that as a customer of theirs. You had one conversation with the rep in somewhere else, and then that same person writes your personalized letter. You know, wishing you well, praying with you, whatever it is. And so it's your way of kind of showing, and when you hear stories like that coming from the contact center, it does really give you time to reflect and think.
It does. As always, just to finish up your question of what did I take home? What am I going to take home with me? On our regular podcast, we typically have a quote of the day or an idea that we end with. I wrote one down today, or a couple down that I wrote from when I was listening to keynotes. I love this one. This one's from Warren Buffett. It says, "What the human being is best at is interpreting all the new information so that their prior conversations remain intact." So let me think about that for a moment. So we start out with that hypothesis that AHT is not a problem in our contact center. So then we look at the data and we figure out how to make the data force it into making that our AHT, because we're not counting calls that are less than 30 seconds. Right. We're not counting calls that are less than 3 seconds. There's always a way to motivate the data to make it show us what we want. So that was my quote that I pulled away from one of the conferences. That, yeah, I've been there, done that in the contact center.
For sure. I've never heard the term motivate the data before. I'm going to start using that. I didn't think data had emotions. Still listening to the Contact Center show. I'm Moss and my partner in crime, Bob. We're going to bring on the one and only Nate Brown to come join us. Nate, you are here in the hot seat.
What's up, everybody?
Nate, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
I have beard envy. Like, beard envy.
I'm jealous of your intellect and natural good looks. So many things that you have. All I got is this goofy beard. Come on.
It's a good start, by the way.
I'm going to butter up Bob.
Nate, it's been a while. It's good to see you. First off, thank you for all you do. Thanks for being the MC, the hostess with the mostest this week. Your energy is always a thing of beauty.
Thank you.
We're going to start. Last time you were in front of a mic.
Oh, yes.
You said some things. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
You made some news. It has 14,000 views. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's get started.
Yeah.
Got some serious questions.
Start with a little bit about you, because from the stage this week, we haven't heard a lot about what you do, what you're doing now. You've had some changes recently. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Some exciting things. So still very locked into CX Accelerate. Yeah, as a nonprofit, as a vehicle for growing CX professionals on every stage of their career journey, going to be putting a lot of focus into the nonprofit of CX Accelerate. But the new development is me and Justin Robbins have truly and fully partnered up. We are launching Metric Sherpa into the stratosphere. So that's Justin's. We're launching Metric Sherpa.
Metric Sherpa.
Metric Sherpa.
Okay.
It's an awesome brand that Justin has been creating for a little while now. So I have jumped in with him, and it's really focused on helping solution providers with thought leadership, dynamic content and research papers and things like that. And then I'm the head of CX advisory, so helping organizations to be able to make customer interactions better.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm just surprised you have a real job. I didn't think you.
I also am a pickleball instructor for Apex Pickleball. What's up, Apex Pickleball?
All right.
It's my not so real
job. So AI is everywhere.
Okay. Yes.
I think there's no show. I think I turned on The Price is Right. Is it over for humans in the contact center?
I was just staring at this huge image next to us, and that's clearly an AI generated.
Yes, it is. Even the humans.
When you look at the teeth on the guy, you can really tell.
See that they used to pay someone to model.
Right, exactly.
Now they just click a few buttons.
Yeah. So kind of weird. Absolutely. So
absolutely, it's over for humans. We're making news here.
Final show. Thank you all. It's been great. Love this one. So yeah, here's the fun part. So there's this wave of change, anxiety producing, this strange change that's going on. But I mean, we've been ticket takers for too long, Bob. And I feel like this is our opportunity to embrace our destiny into the future of what customer service workers can and should be. And that is that of community builders, that of knowledge curators, and that of effective guides. Like we have these unbelievable evolved skills that we are not using because we have been in a little box taking tickets. And now that that little box is well handled through elevated self-service capabilities, let's focus on what we can really do, generate unbelievable value through incredible interactions with our customers. And I could give you all kinds of examples and different things on what that looks like and how I've been activating service workers for a couple of years now. So we talk about this wave of AI that's coming. I keep saying, let's give them a surfboard so that they're not going to get washed away in this wave. They're not going to just barely survive the wave. They can play in the water. They can have fun with this. They can get along with the new tools and capabilities because, frankly, our tools in the contact center have sucked for a while. And the digital ecosystems have prevented us from doing good work for many, many, many years. So finally now, maybe we can get a good digital ecosystem out there that's capable so that we can do real.
So where do I need to be if I'm here at ICMI and I run a contact center and I've got 70 agents and we have sort of an okay CCAS solution. It doesn't give us a lot of good stats, but we're okay. What else do I need to do to get ready for this wave? Where am I in the land of the new
contact center disciplines, and ask yourself the question, how in the box is this right now? So look at your L&D function. Am I creating people who are capable of being a very effective guide to the customers? What do I mean by that? You're bringing the customer to their definition of success. So you have the skills and the knowledge to not only understand.
So do I need a knowledge base to do that?
So yeah, and so then let's fast forward a little bit to knowledge curate. So our knowledge function, I mean, that's one of the biggest opportunities to really sink our teeth into where we need to be now in terms of preparation. Historically, our knowledge function has been a couple knowledge leaders who are just absorbing all that responsibility into that. So no, it's breaking that free. It's breaking that box and allowing your service workers to be knowledge curators. And specifically, what I love to do and what I've recently done in a contact center, map out your categories of knowledge and assign knowledge owners who are also customer service workers, by the way, to a pocket of knowledge that they get to own and they get to improve and evolve. Give them the skills and training to be able to do that. And then all of a sudden, your self-service becomes remarkable. You can actually implement AI because you have good data sources that are being curated by capable people that actually know what they're talking about. And everybody's getting smarter. And you have one person who's cultivating a pocket of knowledge, then you rotate it like quarter by quarter, so that all of a sudden you've got people that are getting smarter in all these different areas. They're activated, they're engaged, your knowledge base is great. Your AI project doesn't fail, and you're able to bring so much more value to the customer.
I want to say amen. I can listen to you go.
He leaned over and used your mic. That was much like a musician who was trying to get closer to the.
This mic's better. I want to use Bob's mic.
That into this guy.
Makes me nervous. Makes me a little nervous.
So we've been talking about positivity this morning.
Okay.
We spent the rest of the week debated this guy, won every debate. Actually, we can ask the audience. Before we get to a few questions, what are things that make you optimistic? Tell us some positive stories. What's happening in the contact center? I think you just made the case that despite how handsome that AI guy is, meant for our job. Tell us some positive stories.
I got to work with an amazing retail brand in the Great North recently, and was just so encouraged by the leadership culture there. This amazing woman who runs the contact center there, and the way that she has helped her leaders to come alive and created a circle of psychological safety around them where they can live their lives together in radical candor, and just they're having fun. They're serving customers in an unbelievable way, and they got smiles on their faces while they do it. And I remember there was one customer service worker that was especially activated, and I was just in awe of her capability. And I came up and I asked her, I was like, "What? How? Why? How? What happened to make you this way?" And I was like, "Why did you take this job? Let's start there." And she goes, "Well, so this particular retailer, They help PE coaches and educators have the stuff so that they can do PE classes. That's what it is that they sell and help support. And she's like, I wanted to help kids. And the career path that I had thought of that I was going to be able to help kids in the healthcare space, it didn't work out for a variety of reasons. When I found this opportunity here at this retailer, knowing that I could help these PE educators to create amazing classes for these kids and make them healthier and happier, I locked in. It's like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like, we found the person who was already living out the brand promise, who was already intrinsically motivated to serve this group of people really well. And then guess what happened? Her skills just kept getting better and better. And that makes me excited, is the fact that brands are out there that are doing great things, and we can be identifying people out there who are alive and convicted that this matters, and I want to find a way to service this community of people. And so getting to like the thing that makes me excited, customer service workers are community builders. And community forums are now becoming an active channel of support. It's not tickets anymore. We're not just taking tickets. If a customer wants a ticket to be taken, they're going to go to a self-service channel. If they want to have a conversation, if they want to think about, if they don't know the question to ask, it's like, you know what? What did you do? What have other people done here? You know, I feel like I'm held back, but I'm not sure where or why. Or, you know, gosh, what if I did this? What would happen? And it's like, that's the type of interaction we get to have now. And that's where customers already are. And so when we create a community vehicle where we're connecting customers to customers, we're facilitating positive interactions, we're doing customer service at scale.
So I want to really open it for questions. I want to go back to a year ago.
Okay.
We were having a conversation on the show.
Yeah.
I asked you a simple question about, what have you changed your mind on recently?
Yep.
This man said, raw milk is fantastic. He was trying to kill off all of our podcast listeners. I'm not going to give you a second chance, but that's not all you say. He said he buys his raw milk from a guy in a parking lot. All kinds of bad choices. You've said some wonderful things here today.
Stand by this.
People are starting to question whether they should listen to this guy. I want to give you a chance. Have you found the light and started drinking normal milk like the rest of us?
First of all, I'm still alive.
That shocks me.
The proof is in the pudding. So here we are, and I'm healthier than I've ever been. So I feel very good about my decision.
Is your parking lot guy here?
He's no longer in the equation.
He's selling drugs now.
We're not going to talk about my guy. I've got a lady now.
Got a new guy.
She's great. And she operates out of the Costco. And the milk's gotten even better.
I doubt that.
I'm just saying, you gotta reevaluate your relationship with Big Milk.
I very much doubt that. So I'll give you a second chance. Okay. What have you changed your mind on recently?
So the reason that this whole thing happened is because you gave me that question and I forgot to prepare for it.
Okay.
And then I kind of choked and I didn't know what to say. And it just started spilling out.
What did you recommend this time?
It's not as cool. But I definitely think that everybody should play pickleball. I think that it's the easiest sport to just jump into and have a blast. Some quick calories, enjoy it with your family and friends, and it gives you a little bit of a sense of identity, and it gives you a totally new community because people just love playing together.
I actually bought a ball and I haven't gone and played.
So I can fix that.
For a variety of reasons.
Okay.
But if I nail down to the real reason, it's because I'm afraid when I show up, I'm going to look silly. Seriously. I'm afraid that, I don't know what it means to be in or out of the kitchen. I don't know what it means. Where am I supposed to stand?
Sure.
Do I need to go to a class before I go? Is that what? Tell me what I need to do in order to embrace pickleball.
Well, let me tell you my beef with pickleball. I played a little tennis back in. I think you guys are bastardizing this one.
We've taken over 10% of tennis courts in the country.
Listen, when I think about tennis, about the beautiful outfits the men and women wear,
That's true.
It is a dignified, respectable sport. And I see
You're pushing my buttons.
the pickleball
It's a bit of a hodgepodge. Yeah.
yes, show up
I see where we're going.
wearing God knows where, no decorum,
Pickle people.
no civility.
Wow. All right. This is
This is just what have you guys done to my precious tennis
Yeah,
court?
that's good.
You guys have invaded it.
You also have a very loud ball.
Oh, yeah.
All of it. It's just
They've made quiet paddles for it. So no, real thing. This is interesting to think about. There's cultures that we create around the things that we love. This happens in organizations all the time. And these cultures have to be curated. They have to be understood. There's a language that binds us. And there's certain unwritten rules. Look at the book Tribal Leadership. Unbelievable resource. So if you look at the legacy culture of tennis, country club communities, generally rich people, but tennis has really worked. And they put it in schools. Tennis has done a brilliant job getting into education systems. And they've got a whole new generation of tennis players. I love tennis. I have nothing against it. I think it's awesome. But the legacy culture of tennis is still very strong. And so when pickleball has showed up, and it was, just a bunch of retired people whacking a wiffle ball. And then all of a sudden, this weird new generation of people jumped into pickleball, and it is a little hodgepodge. It is a little messy, and that's exactly the way we like it.
okay. Well, we will Nate, I want you to stick around with us.
Yeah.
We're gonna see if folks out there have
Okay.
questions. If not, we will keep going. So this is now the participation part of the podcast. Those of you listening online, this is the Contact Center show. We've got the one and only Nate Brown, my partner in crime, Bob. We're still here, and we're going to take live questions, comments, rumors about any topic. Ask questions of Nate, Bob. If you want to agree with me, if you would like to agree with me, I would like you to step up and tell Bob.
So let's believe,
Okay. Here
rightly,
comes the socialist.
I believe rightly that AHT is not something I should share with my agent.
Keep it a secret.
Keep it a secret.
Okay. I don't know
Tell
how
it
this
to the
works.
supervisor.
Ah.
Let the supervisor sit down with the agent. Let
Ah.
them listen to a call and find out what. Please stop.
Okay.
Find out why the average handle time is not where it should be, and coach them to make it better. Instead of just giving them a random number that they work to. And here's why. Here's why.
Not say that.
Not that I ever did this, but the people around me back when I was on the phone call and we were measured to AHT, they would just hang up on 5 people an hour to make their AHT much better than it was supposed to be.
Yep.
So it happens. It happens in contact centers today. Agents are smart when it comes to statistics. So I believe that we still have it. I need to know what it is. I need to know what the outliers are. What is too fast? What is too slow? And coach them to making that what it's supposed to be.
Now, let me tell you what happens in the real world. In the real world, average handle time drives your budget. You need to know how long these calls cost, because it costs money to run a contact center. And so if it's important, hiding it from the agent is not doing you any good. I'm not saying you should coach it the wrong way, but telling the poor supervisor you should care about average handle time, but the reps don't, the reps are just going to laugh at the supervisor. No one's going to. Instead, what you do is you remind everyone that we do not have infinite money, and you should have conversations with customers within a certain bound. If everyone followed what you just said, the budgets will go double. They will go to the CFO and he will laugh them out of the room.
Here's what's interesting about
Can't
the
do that.
fact that the people online and the people watching
They all
the
agree
video
with me, right?
can't see the people out here, but I was getting
They can't believe what they're
Some-
hearing right now.
Somebody give that man.
No.
Somebody give that man a mic.
Dan
That is a
does not
smart.
agree with you.
That is a
I know.
smart.
I know too much.
Smart guy.
Is it on?
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. It's on. You can hear it.
So I think we- when we're going to do what specifically tennis, that the two sides, and we can't trust them with
trying to incentivize the right behavior.
Can we turn this guy up?
I want to incentivize the right behavior. But the right behavior is that you take as much time on the call
As much time as you want.
to manage.
Look at this Mr. Warbucks here.
But why is HP different? Why wouldn't you hide every metric? Why? Because you're trying to coach the behavior, so we just remove all KPIs. And your whole point was,
Hold on.
I can't trust you. Like that means we have a culture of mistrust of agents. I mean, even if they are hanging out, that's separate.
Let me tell you that you articulated a much better story than he has.
As
So,
And you're welcome on the show.
The way you put it, I would agree with you.
Oh,
but
what
I
do we
still
have
believe
here?
I still
What
believe
do
that
we have
AHT is not a scorecard item.
Whether it's a scorecard item or not, it's different than is it visible?
Yeah.
And are we coaching to that?
Yeah.
Right?
Also-
Like, I think a scorecard could be, do we want to change it so that they don't have a performance based off of it?
There we go.
Fence,
There we go.
Right?
You said that better.
But the idea that we have a metric that we
That
are
we
judging,
hide.
that we hide, and that
You may have changed my mind.
Word for word,
No.
bar for bar. I have been telling you.
I was right in the middle of this world recently. Working inside of a contact center, they were wanting to really focus too much on average handle time
Which tends to happen.
because it's an efficiency
Because
metric.
it costs money
And
to run
because
a contact
If we
center.
want to view the contact center as a cost center still, then great. Then let's listen right here.
Let's listen to you.
But if we want to actually do something a little bigger, maybe, and actually generate some value,
Have
so
you
I
checked
would,
with the CFO on this bigger plans of yours?
so what's the CFO trying to do? He's
Oh.
trying to sustainably grow the company. He's trying to generate value. So think about an interaction with a customer. Think about if we could judge the efficiency and the quality and the value generated during an interaction. So I'd love if there was a new metric. AI vendors, listen up, where you're not just measuring the sentiment, you're measuring the effectiveness of the interaction. So it's like, here's how I like to think about it. Did I go quickly during the parts that needed to go quickly? Am I farting around looking for information that I should have immediately? That's a problem. But then did I connect? Did I do next issue avoidance? Did I find a pathway to something new and exciting? Did I co-create? Did I establish community? And did I take 20 minutes to do that? Freaking awesome. Glorious. That's amazing because that was all value generating time. If I took 20 minutes and wasted your freaking afternoon, that's a whole different conversation. So let's think about how we can measure the goodness, the value of the interaction, not how long it took.
I agree with that. Average
Oh my
handle time.
gosh.
matters. Average handle time still matters. Let's move on. Unless anyone who has any comments.
Thank you,
Oh,
Dan.
we've got
All right, yeah.
Let me get Antoine the mic here. Yes, sir. Love your 2 cents, especially if you agree with it.
So what's the positive thing? That's a problem. It's helpful.
Love that perspective. Thanks for sharing that.
You're a great
Thank you.
answer. Also.
Thank you.
So let's go to another topic we talked about earlier this week. We also have another suggestion for the software vendors who are listening here. We now live in a world where everyone's asking for a tip. In fact, Bob's mechanic is asking for a tip.
My mechanic,
His mechanic wants a tip.
2 little pods. His wife runs the office, and she turned around the place where I put the square where I put my credit card in, and it gave me an option to tip my mechanic.
Tip.
I hadn't even driven my car yet, and they wanted me to tip my mechanic.
Bob, of course, wants to end this tip. I say tip everyone. And whoever those getting massages over there, make sure you tip. Everyone gets a tip. But contact center agents need to get a tip as well. We need our share of the action. I am looking at your faces and you look surprised and a little bit alarmed, but I am telling you what is the difference between our contact center reps who need and deserve a tip than the person who served you at dinner yesterday. We need a button at the end of the call. I push it, it goes to my Venmo and my Cash App and my Zelle.
Creating
And we
clickbait.
Here,
Always
this is what a
doing it.
bad
I
idea.
want to. Who disagrees with this? Who are these? Can somebody give them a mic? You disagree with this, Susan? Let's give him a mic so that he
Thank you,
can
Dan.
articulate why he hates his reps so much. Go ahead, sir. They want tips, and you are saying no to this. So the floor is yours.
I paid them a happy commission.
Okay. Okay. All right. All
Thank you.
right. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Who else? Who else was in disagreement with tips?
Also in itself tipping your employees or the customers?
The customer who is getting this great service.
He's
I mean,
gonna,
there
he's
are-
gonna give out their Venmo at the end of the phone call.
No, it's
Their personal
no.
Venmo.
We're going to use AI to automate all of this. Don't worry about the logistics. The call ends, get a text, click here, you give it. Look, you're already begging me for 5 stars
Okay.
for the
Okay.
company. They need a tip.
We've spent 4 days
Yeah.
building up our reputation in the industry,
Absolutely.
and you're spending the last 4 minutes killing it. You gotta stop.
Well, listen,
You gotta stop. You
I
don't
am
really-
a man of the people.
No,
Convicted.
You
whatever.
are with the fat cats. I am a man
Well,
of the
just a
people.
minute, you were
Right.
with the people that own the money. So
Go ahead.
So great.
You know who always asks them for a tip? At the restaurant. Everyone else asks them for a tip. They don't ask you.
You
Everyone.
voluntarily walk into a restaurant.
you need.
Okay. We will exclude healthcare. We will exclude healthcare.
Okay, okay.
Still a great idea. No one else disagrees. So you're not for this idea?
Money is a weak glue.
Okay.
You don't get people loyal with,
Alright.
with money.
Fair enough.
Remember the classic quote, it comes from Daniel Pink. Pay enough to where money is not a distraction. Then what you do is you intrinsically motivate people towards great work.
We're not,
That is
we're not
the
paying enough.
foundation.
We're not paying enough, though.
So
let
that's
me-
the problem.
Let me change gears here. So tell me, Nate, before we shut down, and I think we both got a little loopy here towards the end of the week. But what is something that you learned at the conference?
Yeah.
That you didn't bring with you when you came,
Wow.
right? Like
So
you've been on
much.
stage. I know you've been on stage. I know you listened to the
Wow.
keynotes.
Yeah.
But what's something that you're taking away and you're going, I'm going to take it home? Because here's what I want to tell the folks in front of me
Yeah.
that have been to the conference. So tomorrow, if you fly home tonight, tomorrow when you go into the office or turn on your laptop, there's going to be your 300 emails behind, or 300 emails that you've read that you haven't already put a star next to that you still have to do something to. So all the speakers that you heard and all the things that you've written down are going to get pushed over to the side by what is reality in your contact center space. I know that because it happened every time I came to ICMI. It happens every time. I'm going home tomorrow with new plans to write down my ideas. But if I'm not careful, everything in my life will get in the way of that. So what I plan to do is to schedule an hour or an hour and a half next week. Go to Starbucks, go to my favorite coffee place, wherever that is for you. Take your notes and your notebook and create a plan. Sit down and write down the things that you learned that you want to implement. Prioritize those things and come up with 2 or 3 that are there, and then put some time around that. Like, if I'm going to implement a new way to do quality in my contact center this week, because I sat in a great quality session, and there's 3 things that I want to do, what would it take for us to do that at our contact center?
Yeah.
What are the 8 or 10 things that need to happen? I need to talk to somebody in quality about the new form. I need to talk about whether that's possible to be implemented on our NICE system. I need to find out what do the agents think about that, and how would they respond to that change? Put together a plan, because we all go home with something in these conferences that we need to take with us, and we need to continue to make a part of who we are. And we go home with great ideas, but we literally, life gets in the way. So what's something that you're going to take home and do that with this week?
It's a fun interaction for me personally, being at this event. This is my favorite week of the year. Truly it is. And I've had a winding path career-wise the last few years. It's not gone as I planned. It's been really hard. And I have held myself back in some really toxic ways. And I've not allowed myself to move forward in some really healthy patterns. I haven't had the discipline, and I haven't had the courage. And the combination of Kyle and Rebecca today is beautiful, how that culminated. I don't know who was responsible for the timing and the selection of both of them together. But the fact of embrace these wild ideas and just sit with them, generate them, write them down, and be proud of them. And then the stress that comes with you trying to take steps on them, make that stress your champion. Make that something that can bolster you forward in really positive ways. And like I've just got 2 or 3 things that I have not allowed myself to do that I'm gonna go do, and I'm excited for that.
That's awesome. That's exactly, and you got to make room for it, right?
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah.
Something else has to move over to make room for the new.
It won't be pickleball.
Yeah.
It might be my family. Yeah.
Well, Nate, you've been a joy and a ball of energy as usual.
You too as well. Thank you.
you so much for coming on the show.
Love this show. Love you guys. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks so much, Nate.
Have a good day, everybody.
We've come to the end.
We have.
This has been an awesome week. So good seeing you.
It went from a crazy idea that we were talking about, 6 months ago?
Yep.
Something like that. We just sat around with an idea. Back to the keynote about ideas. We could sit around with an idea. They allowed us to come and do this, and it's been awesome. I can't believe it's over. You said last night as we walked out, we only have one more show. Now we have 0 more shows.
I know. I'm a little nostalgic, but hopefully they'll have us back.
Well, let's remind everyone it's not our last show. It's our last show here. We release new podcasts about once a week, sometimes twice a week. Sometimes we'll skip a week. We never know what our schedules are going to be. But if you go, there's a library of a whole bunch of other podcasts that we've already done. Amos was telling someone yesterday, if you go to the early days of our podcast, we probably went really deep on subjects. So we would take quality management. And if I think about it from a consulting perspective, we gave away too much information because we would go really deep on how to do something from our perspective of many years. As we've evolved, we still take the same strategy of talking about things, but we talk about them a little quicker. We're not doing 35 and 40-minute shows. We're doing 15-minute shows. But we'd love for you to become participants. You can follow us. There's usually a LinkedIn. There's a sign over here where you can sign up and subscribe. Find us on Spotify, on Apple, on any
Alexa.
Alexa, you can say, hey, Alexa, play Bob and Amos, the Contact Center show. And for some strange reason, she plays us. I don't understand it. It's magic. So we would love for you to join us.
Awesome. Thanks again for everyone listening at home. It's been the Contact Center Show. We will talk to you again next week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.